Good evening and welcome to the April 17, 2024 regular board meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. Anthony Riddick, the 2024 chair of the board. Tonight I am joined by Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, Vice Chair, Commissioner Linda Hoffler, Commissioner Brian Roundtree, Commissioner Emily Truman, County Manager Scott Sauer, County Attorney Pitt Godwin, Clerk to the Board Julitha Chestnut. The invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Vice Chair, Craddock. You take it. I knew you will.
I'll take turns. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father God, we come to you tonight, first of all, to give you thanks. Thank you for this day that you have made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. Father God, we ask you to come into this house tonight and settle down with us as we could conduct county business. Father God, I want to ask you to bestow blessings upon Gates County as we are moving forward with grant opportunities. Lord, place your hands upon Gates County. It's much needed. Father God, we thank you for everything you do. We thank you for sending your son to us. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have your agenda packet in front of you. And there is an agenda amendment, adjustment to the ad report from the county attorney as item A that will be placed ahead of the consent agenda. So I request a motion to amend the meeting agenda as item 1A, report from the county attorney, as item 1A will be placed ahead of consent agenda. Do I have approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Godwin?
Thank you, Dr. Reddick. As county attorney, I have been requested to research a legal issue and render an opinion to my board of commissioners. The issue at hand involves the private purchase of the 1.29 acre tract of land adjacent to the Merchants Commerce Park Center by Commissioner Brian Roundtree back on October of 2023. The lot had been placed on the market for sale since November of 2021. The first question is, did the purchase violate legal or ethical standards at the time of the sale? The answer to that question is clearly not. Prior to entering into an agreement with a private individual to buy the subject lot, Commissioner Roundtree obtained an opinion from the North Carolina Institute of Government that there was no violation of law or conflict of interest because the purchase was from a private citizen and did not involve a contract with the county. The second part of this opinion has to do with what happens now going forward and recognizing the potential perception for there to be a conflict of interest either legally or ethically should Commissioner Roundtree vote on issues regarding the future development of Merchants Commerce Park. This is a much more complex issue. State law clearly creates an affirmative duty for local governing board members, county commissioners, to vote on matters that come before them. It is clear that when there is a possible conflict of interest, the county attorney can be called upon to issue his or her legal opinion to the entire board. My thorough review of statutory authority, readings of case law, research bring me to the conclusion that for there to be a conflict of interest, a public officer, in this case Commissioner Roundtree, must be shown to have derived a direct benefit from a contract with a public agency, i.e. the county for which he serves. Although Commissioner Roundtree has not yet derived any benefit from the purchase of the lot, and it is not part of the Merchants Commerce Center, It is my opinion that out of an abundance of precaution and to protect the integrity of both Mr. Roundtree and the Board of Commissioners, as well as the public perception of these matters, that does exist the potential yet unknown for an enhanced benefit to be derived if Commissioner Roundtree be allowed to vote on matters regarding the future development of Merchants Commerce Park. Therefore, Commissioner Roundtree, in my opinion, should be excused by the board and personally recuse himself from any vote regarding Merchants Commerce Park, which is adjacent to the lot that he owns, just to avoid any potential ethical or legal conflicts, either real or perceived. Respectfully submitted this the 17th day of April 2024. Philip P. Godwin, Jr. And I believe Commissioner Roundtree has a short statement he wants to make.
Yes. Good evening, Gates County citizens. According to North Carolina General Statute 14-234, public officers or employees benefiting from public contracts, I did not violate, as Attorney Godwin stated, I did not violate the law because I did not have a public contract. I had a private contract when I purchased my property. According to North Carolina General Statute 160A-86, local governing boards code of ethics, I did not violate the code of ethics because I did not perform official duties of the board while purchasing my property. Therefore, there was no legal conflict of interest. I will request recusal from the Merchant Commerce Park voting, so Gates County citizens will benefit from the development of the Commerce Park without distractions, delays, and obstacles that would stagnate the Merchant Commerce Park progress. I will not allow the opinion of a few to sabotage the Merchant Commerce Park development. I want all Gates County citizens to benefit from the goods and services that the Merchants Commerce Park will provide. Thank you.
I believe in that we need a motion from the commissioners to allow Mr. Roundtree to recuse himself in matters in which involve Merchants Commerce Park.
I need a motion from the Board of Commissioners to allow Mr. Roundtree, Commissioner Roundtree, to recuse himself from voting for any future decisions relative to Merchants Commerce Park.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Clerk, will you poll the commissioners?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Turner, what's your vote?
Yay.
Commissioner Hoffa, what's your vote?
Aye.
Dr. Riddick, what's your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock, what's your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Turner, did you say nay?
No, yay.
Yes.
Yes, A, yay, yes.
It wasn't. Okay. Motion passed.
So moved.
Thank you, board. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. You have it before you. You've had it in your packet. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
No, ma'am.
You We'll move on with the special guest. Our first special guest, the 2025 Evaluation Project and Upcoming Activities, Renee McGinnis from Gary Piner of Piner Appraisal Services. Will you come forward?
Good evening, Commissioners, Manager Sauer, and all present this evening. I'm Gary Piner with Piner Appraisal. We'd like to thank you first for entrusting us with your 2025 revaluation. I've been doing work up here for the tax office for a number of years. Always enjoyed interacting with the good people in Gates County. And with that being said, here's somebody you're a little bit familiar with, Ms. Renee McGinnis. She's our project manager.
Thank you, Mr. Piner.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I feel like I'm back home. I just kind of want to go over a few things with you as to what to expect through this process. I know Manager Sauer knows all about a revaluation. I know Attorney Pitt Godwin does, and I know Commissioner Hoffler does, but I think I've got four faces up here that don't know much about it from that side of the table. So for starters, the first thing we do when we get started is to come in and study your sales that have occurred in the county. So right now we're working on studying the 2023 sales. We also will go back and look at the 2024 sales as they come in. And that way it kind of keeps us as close to the market as we can be January 1 of 2025. We start next week, we'll have feet on the ground. You did contract for a full measuring list. What that means is our people will be getting out at the homes, knocking on doors. They will be measuring the existing buildings and improvements there on the property. Our vehicles will be marked. Your Sheriff's Department, Central Dispatch, Tax Department will have the information on the vehicles as far as tag numbers, who will be driving it and that sort of thing, because we know they will be getting phone calls. We also have, and I don't know if Ms. Fisher, I know she had given you copies of the brochure. We also have door hangers. Nice bright door hangers that after we visit the property, we will hang on what we feel like is the most used door in the property, on the property, so that the taxpayer will know that we have visited their property and why we were there, what we were doing there. And we have the brochure. As I said, I think y'all have gotten copies of this. And to let y'all see this, and I think there's some copies up here if you do not have one. Ms. Fisher has done a wonderful job in getting them out in the county to different businesses and county buildings and whatnot, and this explains the process to the taxpayer. And also, once we have completed that work, applied the new values, we will send out notices. And that's when the fun starts for y'all. You'll be getting phone calls. Your Board of Equalization might not be quite as quiet in 2025 as it was tonight, but the taxpayer will have the right to appeal their value in an informal appeal, where they will come before us. Because what we do when we go out, even though we're pulling a tape measure, we're not allowed to go into the house unless the taxpayer says, you know, I want you to come in and look at this. So needless to say, when we look at the outside of a property, if it looks nice, we're assuming that's what the inside looks like. So sometimes there are things that we need to know from the taxpayer that we may not get just from visiting the property that may warrant, you know, some changes in the value. And I will say, looking at the sales, I was working with them today, I think you can expect an increase, which is what we have been seeing in other counties. I'm working in Pequimans right now. And to give you a visual of that, when you leave the courthouse tonight, of course it may be a little dark, but anyway, maybe later you can take a look. There's a brick home right beside the brick courthouse that the tax value currently listed on that is $125,900. Last August, it sold for $230, to give you an idea of what you're probably going to be seeing. And like I say, that's nothing new. We haven't been seeing a whole lot of increase with land value. It's mainly been with improvement values with homes. And at any point in time, I think most of y'all know where I'm located as far as our office is concerned, and I think pretty much everybody here knows where to find me at any point in time. If you have any questions or there are any concerns that you feel like something is really off with something with the county or whatnot, all you have to do is make us aware of that, and your questions, we'll do the best that we can to answer them. And if you have any questions now, I'll be glad to entertain them.
Are there any questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presenter will be College of the Albemarle budget presentation and other updates. Dr. Dean Roughton, one of the vice presidents there. Dr. Bagwell was invited, but he's in Raleigh receiving the award for being the President of the Year for the North Carolina college system. So let's give him a hand in his absence.
Dr. Reddick, members of the board, thank you for having us here. Is my voice okay?
You okay?
A little tall for this. We appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you guys tonight. I've been at the college almost 20 years, and we've always had an excellent relationship with Gates County, so we're honored to be here tonight as well. Before I get started, I do have a couple of printouts of things that I'm going to talk about that may be easier for you to follow if you want a copy of them in your hands. If not, then make good paperweight for paper.
And while you're getting ready, I'll remiss if I don't recognize Mr. Graham Twine. Mr. Twine is our representative from Gates County on the Board of Trustees for COA. So stand up so they can get him. There he is. Get him a hand.
I know what you're going through on that side of the table. I've been there. I'd like to congratulate y'all for being there, and I thank y'all for the service that y'all are doing to Gates County. It's tough, but it needs to be.
Thank you, sir.
Nice meeting all y'all.
So the first document I'll speak to says Gates unduplicated enrollment at the top. There's a table and a chart there. Just wanted to share with you the trend for students enrolling at COA, adults, and CCP. CCP stands for Career and College Promise. In layman's terms, is dual enrollment where high school students can take college credits for free while they're enrolled in high school. So you'll see, probably easier from the graph, that starting in 2020, there was a dip in enrollment, significant dip. I'm sure you can all figure out what that's from. Education across the country, the state, and our region was impacted by COVID, and so you're not alone. That is completely in line with every other county that we serve. There was that dip, but you also see, look at say fall 22 forward, we're starting to climb back up now. So enrollment is beginning to return. We don't quite yet have pre-COVID numbers, but something to be aware of, even before COVID hit, higher education was already seeing a little dip in enrollment for a variety of reasons in society, and that probably has carried over a little bit too. But we are on the upward trend. So both the adults are claiming some numbers there, and the CCP numbers as well. So we do have good participation from the county enrolling in curriculum level courses. On the second page of that same document, towards the bottom, it says in program enrollment. I just went through and figured out what are the leading programs that your citizens are enrolling in to see what the interests are with College of the Albemarle. And the first one there says Associate of Arts Pathway. Basically, that's just college transfer. That is by far the most popular program at all colleges, community colleges, and all the counties in our service area as well. And you'll see what's interesting though, Associate Arts Pathway. If it says pathway, that means it's high schoolers. It also says Associate in Arts. So to be able to take Associate Arts program, unless you have an early college, a student has to finish that whole pathway first, which is approximately half of the whole associate's degree. So the fact that you have high school students who have gone beyond the pathway and are about to get a whole degree is pretty astounding, because that requires a lot of work both with them and the parents and counselors to create a schedule to be able to take those classes. So that's pretty impressive that you have students that advanced in that program. Second most popular program you'll see there with your high school students is welding. That probably comes as no surprise as where you guys are located, where the jobs are just across the border, as well as some in the region. And then you look beneath that, you see the adult program, a little different. One of the top programs, again, is going to be transfer. But then you see pre-nursing there, that associate in general education in nursing. It's a little bit more difficult for a high school student to get into a nursing program because of age restrictions and being able to get into clinical settings and whatnot. So it's still very popular, and as we'll talk about a little bit in some demographics, and you probably are already aware, we have this phenomenon called the graying of society for a number of years now. So health sciences is a field in general that we need a lot more jobs in the region and the state. Another item of interest, the third page of that same document, going back several years, CCP cost savings. So tuition and fee, well, tuition is waived by the state in the dual enrollment program. It's up to the college whether they collect fees or not. COA currently, since the program's inception, also waives fees. That could change in the future, but for right now, we don't charge fees. So the only other costs will be books, which is on the individual, transportation, things of that nature. So this is a computation just on tuition and fees of what this program has saved students and their parents over the years. And if you look at the last complete year was 2023, just as an example, $132,000 in a single year saved parents and students because of waived tuition and fees. So that's pretty substantial, especially when you do it year over year and look at how these numbers tally. Also related to CCP, but not represented on that sheet, just to give you an update of projections for CCP dual enrollment graduates. In other words, a student getting an entire credential with us this spring. We have projected 9 students from Gates County, high school students from Gates County, to get an associate's degree. And then in the summer, it looks like we're going to have 6 more on top of that. So 15. I think there might have been 1 or 2 more, but this thing has always happened. A student doesn't finish one class, and maybe they come back in the summer and finish it. But right now, that's a pretty substantial number to have 15 students in this cycle while still in high school getting an entire degree. Any questions on that enrollment topic before we hear the next thing?
No.
Okay. You may have seen this before, but the next document is an county attainment profile. Has the entire body seen this before?
They've received it before.
Okay. So the 2024 version just came out not too long ago. And just as a reminder, if you've seen this, My Future NC is a nonprofit organization made up of educators, politicians, business leaders, with the idea to advance credential attainment in the country, in the state. By 2030, the goal is to have 2 million North Carolinians to have a high-quality credential or post-secondary degree. And the reason that's important is because we're trying to get greater attainment and eliminate the gap between the skills that employers need and the credentials that students currently have. So we're projecting out for a number of years a gap and being able to fill the jobs that are going to become available because people are not qualified for those jobs. So that's part of the work, or the major work of this organization. And this document is one that they produce for every single county in the state. Gives you a variety of different kinds of information, student success, migration, population, things of that nature. So I'll just call your attention to a few points. If you look at the top left, you see it says population spotlight growth rate. And Gates County has a negative 9% growth rate for this most recent data cycle. I think that's the only county in our area that has an out-migration that's negative. What we might talk about in another second is the fact the credential attainment in general, Gates County has one of the lower ones in the state on what percentage of people who live in the county who have a higher ed credential. But it's my contention that a lot of that occurs because people get the degree and then they go elsewhere to go find a job. They got the degree while they were here possibly, but then they went to look for work somewhere else and probably had to change households. Something else that's significant, especially for the college, you see that on the right-hand side of that same row, it says 59% of households have broadband in Gates County. Well, that becomes an issue when anybody's trying to take distance education classes. It's a little bit of a drive to COA. It's a little bit of a drive over to Roanoke Trail on. So I know there's some discussion about some things to try to maybe mitigate that, but we know that's pretty low compared to other areas. And I'll talk about that in a demographic study that we had done in a second. The next area to draw your attention to is sort of a green bar that says top opportunities for growth, and kind of in the middle there. See, for adult learners, 25% of Gates County adults, 25 to 44, have some college but no degree. So that's an opportunity for students to come back to school, complete some credits, and get the degree, and therefore be qualified for a livable wage job. We have a program at COA that we're participating in with the state called NC Reconnect. And the purpose of that program is to reach out to people who started college but didn't finish. So that's something that we're working on, and Gates County is involved in that as well. Gates County citizens are included in that as well. The next one says earning college credit in high school. The first number there says less than 5% of Gates County high school students took at least one AP exam. So advanced placement courses probably are not as all important as they once were for going to college. These days, AP is looked at as something that you want to have on your resume if you're trying to go to a flagship school, a little more prestigious. But the CCP that we were just talking about is a program from through the college where they actually guarantee the credit if they pass the course. With the AP class, you could take the entire class, not pass the test at the end, you wouldn't get any college credit. So you guys actually pretty well, 28% of graduates from your high schools participated in the CC program. Slightly below Pierre County, which is going to be a rural metro area, but pretty close. And then the FAFSA completion might be an area to look at as well, and I'll speak about that in a second on another topic too. 51% of Gates County high school seniors complete the FAFSA, which is below the average for similar counties. So that's probably an opportunity for us to work with you all to have more students complete the FAFSA, which is the federal free financial aid form. A lot of students feel like they're not going to get money anyway, so it's a waste of their time to complete that. But in a second, we'll talk about another reason why it's become even more important that you have your students complete that. I'm not going to go into detail on the rest of this, but those are sort of the highlights I wanted to point out. Any questions on the things that we talked about for this handout?
No question?
So I just mentioned the FAFSA. Some of you may be aware of something that's coming out called the Next NC Scholarship. This is for students from households making $80,000 or less. So if you're making $80,000 in your household, chances are you might not qualify for Pell Grant, which is why some students might not complete the FAFSA, understandably. They don't want to waste their time. However, this criteria is for the North Carolina Next Scholarship. Any student who graduates from high school, and I'll continue the eligibility things here in just a second, will receive starting in 24-25, so this fall, starting 24-25, will receive $3,000 a year to attend a North Carolina community college. That's enough to cover their entire tuition and fees for a whole year. So that is a substantial resource. Or if they want to go to a public university, they can receive up to $5,000, which could pay for about half, a little more depending on the institution and how much they charge. Eligibility details, who can get that money? So a North Carolina resident who would be eligible for in-state tuition must be a high school graduate, as we already said, to be from a household of less than $80,000, enrolled in an eligible undergraduate curriculum program, so not eligible for continuing education. This will be for for a curriculum credential, degree, diploma, certificate. Take at least 6 credit hours per semester, meet satisfactory academic progress. So that is a really big opportunity for students. Even if you make too much money for the Pell, you still might qualify for this. Next topic I'd like to talk to you a little bit about is called Carolina Demography. Carolina Demography is a research center attached to UNC Chapel Hill. They do demographic studies. We had one provided for us from the Belk Endowment, which is a philanthropic organization in the Triangle. They paid for us to have this done. Some findings that came out of that are, so we have 7 service counties for COA. In 4 of our 7 counties, we are currently seeing a negative net migration, which is most pronounced in Gates, that we talked on just a second ago. But by 2030, we are projected to have positive net migration in all counties except Gates, according to Carolina Demography, which has a projected negative migration through at least 2050. Counties with the lowest percentage of households with a computer are Perquimans, Gates, and Chowan. Those with the lowest percentage of households with internet access are Gates, Chowan, and Perquimans again. From a percentage standpoint, the county with high school was the highest level of educational attainment is Gates, so there may be some opportunities there. In all of our counties, and this is pretty much a national trend, females outperform males in associate degree attainment. So you guys are in line with the rest of the country. More and more males are not going to college these days. In 2022, 7 of the 10 highest paying jobs in the Elizabeth City Prosperity Zone that only require an associate degree were health sciences fields. So this is something we talked about earlier, what's attracting adults in programs. Same thing, same topic here. So I said just a second ago that Gates County is among the lowest in our service area for having computers and internet access in their household. We use that information from this to apply for a grant, which is still in process, so we don't know if we're going to receive this yet or not, called a Digital Champion Grant. What we intend to do with that money, if we receive it, will be to increase an already existing laptop loaner program that we started during COVID because we went completely online, but not all students had computers. So we want to increase the number of computers, especially in the counties where that percentage of computer in a household is kind of low. In addition, we talked about internet. So one of the things we want to do on top of that is to create, we don't currently have, to create a hotspot loaner program. You would power the hotspot by Verizon, which would be paid for by the grant, and then you could connect your computer to the hotspot. And then finally, that grant is looking to expand digital literacy training for those individuals who don't have computer skills to begin with. Doesn't do a lot of good to have a computer if you don't know how to use it, so that training will be provided free to anybody who wants to use it. So that's just some of the information that we've been looking at lately, some things that pertain to Gates County as well as some other counties. Any questions about anything that I've talked about that I can help you with?
We don't have any questions, but I just want to lift up that we have been working with COA. We visited, county manager and myself visited him twice, looking at the dashboard. I think he showed us this brand-new dashboard that had all the data that you just referenced on it. And Dr. Routon is the researcher in the, what's your official title now?
I am the Vice President of Institutional Research, Planning, Effectiveness, and Technology, and the gentleman who reports to me is the one who created those dashboards.
There you go. So he has all the data that he needs to look at all the counties. What we saw and what I see, and I've been talking about future NC, we know that out of 100 counties, we are the 100th county that is not acceptable. We know we have migration. We know we're not growing. But one thing we have corrected is internet accessibility, 93%. In Gates County, it's probably more than that now because I'm going to get an official report next, probably another 3 weeks. Another thing I want to share with you, Dr. Routon, is that we are looking at a digital literacy grant. We're not writing the grant. A collaborative broadband project is trying to get this grant. You'll be hearing from us to partner with us for that. So we are aware of the lack of computers, the lack of skills, and we are aware that we are losing population. We're doing economic development trying to halt that. We are aware that we don't have the skilled workforce we need to keep them here, and we don't even have the jobs here to keep them. So we are aware of all the data. It's just how do we address the data in real time and for the future. And we intend to work with COA to increase the 24 to 44-year-old residents that do not either unemployed, underemployed, and they don't have a future. They don't think they do. So we have been talking with COA. We're going to partner with other surrounding community colleges such as Roanoke Chowan, because in Gates County, people don't want to cross the swamp. They think it's a boogeyman down there. I crossed it for 30 years. I'm still here. But they don't want to cross the swamp, and I can appreciate that. And so they would rather go elsewhere. And also, we do have online instruction, but I don't think I want anybody to learn welding online. So those CTE courses are not, congruent with online. They're just not. You have to sit there. So I appreciate you coming, standing in for Dr. Bagwell, but he will be coming because we're going to partner with him. We already are. with future NC. I just want the citizens to understand, this is important. We are aging. Whether you want to say it or not, you can call yourself young all you please. We are aging in this county like all other rural counties, and we have to make sure that we take care of those who are the future. That high school, the ones that finish high school and don't see any hope will not get the credentials, so we can help with the workforce and get those good jobs. So I thank you for coming. I know we have a budget proposal on the county manager's desk that Dr. Bagwell has presented. We will fold that into our appropriations for 2024, 25. And, you know, I'm just excited about COA. COA serves 7 counties with 4 campuses, and we're an outlier because they have, again, the swamp. You know, it's that swamp. I don't know what it is. It's the swamp monster or something. But we have to tackle that barrier. And we're trying to get a footprint here in the county. It's no secret. We've talked to Dr. Bagwell about it, a footprint here in this county so people don't have to cross that swamp. And we know it's going to take an investment on both ends, collaboration. And I would close with saying this, that the school system is an infrastructure for us. It is. Human education is an infrastructure for us. If we're going to solve the issues of all the things that are Gates County, we're going to have to do a better job of workforce development and education. So that's the lever that we did not pull. And I hope that the citizens understand when we come to you, citizens, and say we need to do this, this, and this, and you look at us and say, not going to help me, it'll help the county. It'll help the county. Those students that want to stay here will come back here and see that we'll be progressing. I thank Dean. I call him Dean. Go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a question. Yes, sir, I know that the stakeholders in my future NC are education sector, government, and industry. What industry in the region have partnered with the local community colleges in this effort of my future NC?
Specifically on the My Future NC collaboration, I can't speak to that, but our major partners in the industry partners in the area, as you would imagine, are like Centera Health, some in Virginia, like Sumitomo Machining Corporation. But I really can't speak because I'm not involved directly with My Future NC as to who in that group might be involved with that organization. So if that's important to you, we can try to find that out.
I think Dr. Angie Bailey is our regional representative for Future NC. And I think two meetings ago, I think I appointed Commissioner Roundtree to head that up, to make sure that we are connected with her efforts and the college's efforts and all the other stakeholders. So we're on it. It's just that we came to the game a little late, but it's never too late when you can move forward. So we appreciate this presentation. It puts it on the radar for the commissioners. You've seen this before. Yes, you have. And we need to pay attention to it because you're going to see it again. And I thank Dean for coming. I call him Dean because I used to work with him. And I was his supervisor. So that's why he's behaving himself.
That's it.
Look what he's grown up to be. But anyway, I thank you again. Please thank President Bagwell. I'll give him a call in a couple of weeks. And personally, congratulate him on his award for being President of the Year for the North Carolina Community College System. COA is rocking it.
Thank you all for your time. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Graham, Trine, do you want to greet us for a minute? I don't want you to come all the way here. You're on the Board of Trustees. What have you been up to?
I'd like to thank y'all for allowing me to be here tonight and asking me to come. I've sat on the Board of Trustees now for COA for the last 12 years. I was appointed by the Board of Commissioners that I sat on in 2012. At this time, there's only one board member or trustee board that has had on the board longer than I have. I sat on the Building and Grounds Committee for the whole time as a trustee. One of the big projects we got going now and that I'm extremely proud about is the new health science building. The legislation come up with $25 million to help us to build this building. We're in the process now. The documents have been sent off for approval from the state. Hopefully construction should start sometime into this year, maybe the first of next year, to be completed 26, somewhere in that neighborhood. This project is a $25 million health science project. It will be a state-of-the-art nursing program, classrooms, immersion room where there'll be cameras that will immerse the room into a situation where if you're working on a highway, you'll be working on a highway. If you're working in a bedroom, you'll be working in a bedroom. If you're working in an emergency room, you'll be working in an emergency room. This is going to be a state-of-the-art operation. It's going to be a great thing. COA, right at this point in time, is the #1 nursing program in the state of North Carolina. The #1 nursing program, not ECU, not Pitt Tech. COA has got the #1 nursing program for associate degree nurses in the state of North Carolina. Most of the nurses from Gates County went to school in COA. If you know a nurse that is in Gates County, you ask them where they went to school at. They weren't scared of the swamp. I started the school at COA in 1975 after I graduated from Gates County High School. I graduated from COA 3 times. That's when the need come for a trustee from Gates County. There was no question that's where I wanted to go. I asked to be appointed to that board. I'm asking y'all to reappoint me one more time to see this project through. I would love to be there. Originally, I had planned to make this my last term and walk away from it. But with this project going on and the legislation doing what they've done with the board, we determined that at that time, we didn't think Gates County would even have any representation on this board. They were going to take it all away. Changes come, like they do from day to day in politics. We'll have 2 members to the board in Gates County, which I think is a great thing. Gates County's been under. We don't have any buildings in Gates County for COA. We're not a big donator to COA as far as cash, never have been. But we still have students that go there and are important. There's a lot of families in Gates County that have got education. Their children were educated at COA, well, a lot less than what it would have cost to send them to a full-time college. They can go there and get 2 years of college, and they can move to transfer to ECU or Capitol Hill or anywhere they want to go. They're all accredited. And it's about half the price or less to go to school at COA for 2 years. Some of the high school students are actually leaving high school with an associate's degree and can move right into college when you leave high school. Now, what else can you invest money in students and expect that for? It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened in COA. It started back in the 60s. When I went to school over there in 1975, there was 1 building sitting over on that side of Elizabeth City, 1 building. And to see how different things are, we actually had ashtrays on our desk in classrooms. And we were all 18 years old. There was 2 of us in the class I went to from Gates County. One of them was your uncle, and he and I drove to school over there every day for 4 years. And I graduated from there 3 times. So there's a lot going on over there. They've got a great welding program. They've got a great machinist program in Currituck. They've got an awesome aviation building in Currituck. If you've not been down there, you ought to see it. They just finished building a new public safety building / COA classrooms in Currituck at the airport. It's an awesome building. They built a new building in Dare County down in Manio. They're getting ready to start. In the next in the next year, there'll be a new early college building built on the campus down there. Their county is getting ready to build a new early college on the same campus. So CA is growing. CA is a great place to go to school and to learn. And it's well worth the time that we put in going to COA and doing what I do. I do this on my own time.
Okay.
There's no subsidies. I've been driving for 12 years and doing my meetings like I'm supposed to. I haven't missed many, but I have missed a few. But it's worth it. And no, it's a great place to be. And if you've ever seen any of the paperwork that comes from COA, the slogan for COA is transform your tomorrow. Whether there you can transform your tomorrow into a new beginning for a future in the world that we live in today.
And Mr. Graham,
Thank you all.
Mr.
I
Twine.
appreciate your consideration.
No, hold on. I want you to come back to address this board every quarter, since there's so much going on in COA, and we're trying to ratchet it up and make sure that we're in tune to what we're going to partner, how we're going to collaborate. So you'll get an invitation every quarter to come speak to the Board of Commissioners.
And I'll be glad to come.
Well, we're looking forward to it. And thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you. Thank y'all.
All right.
I'm gonna slip out the back if y'all don't need anything.
Yeah, you can sneak out. Oh my, that's a threat. Uh-oh. Thank you. Next is the Gates County School System Budget Presentation for 2024-2025. And we're going to ask the Superintendent, Dr. Barry Williams, to come forward.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Godwin, County Manager, we are so pleased to be here tonight to present to you the Gates County Schools budget request for school year 24-25. Also, I would like to recognize in our crowd my board member, Reverend Ronnie Riddick, who is seated back there, and also a future Board of Education member, Miss Terry Riddick. So thank you for being here. Of course, our budget has been based on current numbers and projected numbers, and changes may occur based on a variety of factors. The vision of the school district is built upon the belief that all students can learn. As a district leader, it is my responsibility to ensure that the goals, the procedures, and the policy align with the vision of the school district. Through collaboration with the stakeholders, goals are established for the school system with indicators and strategies to attain those goals. Our school system is continually working to attain and maintain excellence through strong leadership. That's high expectations and fostering a positive school culture. Quality teaching, we ensure that there's a high quality instruction in every classroom. Student support, we offer those comprehensive support services for our students. That's including academic, social, and the emotional support to meet students' diverse needs. Collaborative community partnerships, we engage with parents and community organizations and local businesses to support the school mission goals. Continuous improvement. There's always time for improvement through regular assessing and analyzing data to identify areas for improvement and taking strategies to address those. Safe and supportive education and environment. We maintain and we create a safe, inclusive, and supportive school environment that fosters that learning and that personal growth. Innovation and also adaptation. That's embracing the technology. That's embracing the teaching methods. That's embracing the integration and adapting to changing technology for educational needs and trends. And of course, a strong governance and leadership. That's following the chain of command. And I say the chain of command is from the Board of Education to the superintendent to the very top, which is their students. So those are things that are extremely important But the school district's goals in relation to instruction and student learning are a list of factors, a list of ingredients. And we apply using data-driven decision-making to guide all aspects of governance. We provide that rigorous curriculum with those clearly defined spiraling expectations for student learning. We employ instructional strategies and activities to support student achievement and promote active learning. You have to maintain a highly qualified staff in the classroom, providing those facilities and sites and equipment to support student learning, and also to remain abreast of technology, all while that is enclaved or encompassed in evaluation. We're making sure that the things that you have are the things that you need for students to be successful. We are currently working on several projects. Currently working on several projects, but to start off with, most recently, we received 2 needs-based grants for capital improvements. We received $2.9 million for our Buckland Elementary School, and this includes roof, HVAC, plumbing, carpet, and energy-efficient windows. Another one was the $1.7 million to renovate T.S. Cooper Elementary School. And just keep in mind that both of these grants are at no cost to the citizens of Gates County. As you can see, when you look at the table, you see that since 2017, we've received grants for all 5 schools and county funding for 1 school to renovate, repair, and to build new construction. In total, we have received $26 million, $781, to improve each and every school in Gates County. We currently have 3 projects that are on the burner, and we're working to try to bring those to fruition. An athletic and community running track, walking track, and a place to socialize to come to Gates County. Technology upgrades. We always need new technology to make sure that, as a matter of fact, DPI has an AI pilot. We're working on things like that to be involved and to be on top of the cutting edge trends of education. And of course, safety and security enhancements. With that piece, we want to make sure that a student, a teacher, an employee feels safe when they come to school and when they're learning. These grants are being sought for all these projects, which we work, and it will total probably about $3.5 million. Hopefully, I have a meeting next week to where I'm thinking maybe I might be able to get about $6 million more funding for these projects, along with something called the Teacher and Leader Initiative from the U.S. Department of Education Office of Secondary and Elementary Education. And that money right there can be used for bonuses, can be used for anything where a teacher has exceeded or a school has exceeded growth, met growth, just a lot of good opportunities with that money. Current county that is using that and was awarded that was Montgomery County, and they was awarded that back in 2020. I have connections with Montgomery County, and so I can see that in my crystal ball coming to fruition. With personnel, I have my personnel director, if she would you please come to the podium and
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Before you are the projected instructional vacancies for the 24-25 school year. This does include current vacancies that we have for the 23-24 school year, and those projected based on in retirements and possible resignations for next school year or at the end of this school year. But they are the current vacancies and projected vacancies that we have for the upcoming year. These vacancies are currently being advertised, and the Human Resources Department is also recruiting, attending recruitment fairs, and doing other things to fill these positions with highly qualified teachers for each of these positions. K-12 additional personnel instructional requests. This list or these requests were compiled by collaboration with myself and principals on what are additional needs that they have in their building and in their schools for the upcoming school year. As you see, those at Buckland Elementary School include administrative support. T.S. Cooper mentioned school nurse, K-5 teacher, Central Middle School, again, school nurse, and Gates County High School. They are the requests there, but one I'd like to point out is school nurse. Our principals are very concerned and would like to, at the top of the priority list, to have a nurse at each school so that we can provide the most safe environments for our students at each school. Right now, we do share nurses amongst our 5 schools. This is the projected K-5 class size for the 24-25 school year. Across the top, you'll see each school, and the number next to that is the number of teachers that they have, and the number in parentheses is student enrollment. So that's the ADM for those schools projected for the 24-25 school year. And kindergarten is always a projection. You kind of guesstimate those. Just you don't quite know what your kindergarten enrollment is going to be, but we just base those numbers on what enrollment has been in the previous years. So at Buckland, we have 13 teachers with enrollment 233. T.S. Cooper, 12 teachers, projected enrollment 163, and Gatesville, 12 teachers, projected enrollment 213. And if you go down, we have the grade levels, and you have the number of teachers that we're projected to have in each grade levels, and the breakdown of what class size will be with that proposed number of teachers for each grade level. All right, any questions?
Miss Lola Roundtree, she's my Director of Testing and Accountability. She couldn't be here tonight, so school performance grades are based on 80% proficiency and 20% growth. And there's a range, a window of what exceeded growth, met growth, and not met growth is. Growth range is 85 to 100 for the top one. Meeting growth is 70 to 84.9, and then 50 to 69.9 is when we do not meet growth. So for our school scores, Buckland Elementary School, they exceeded growth, and their academic growth score is, as you see, 88.3. Gatesville Elementary did not meet growth. The academic score was 69.1. Thomas Settle Cooper Elementary School met growth, academic growth score of 78.2, and Central Middle School met growth, academic growth score of 73.8. And Gates County High School met growth as well, and the academic growth score was 74.4. For inquiring minds who want to know, at Gatesville Elementary School, I have a liaison out of DPI. Her name is Dr. Catherine Stickney, and what she is working on is helping, and she was here just yesterday or the day before at Gatesville Elementary School, and she also hits the other schools too as well, to provide assistance on strategies, indicators, activities to support student achievement and to promote active learning. And so I think that's really good, that's important. We want to make sure that we always exceed growth and move forward and give kids the opportunity to be the best they can be. Mr. Harrell, would you like to come up and speak about the budget piece?
Good evening, Dr. Reddick, commissioners, everyone. In front of you, you have your 24-25 school budget. Talk a little bit about school funding. North Carolina State's Constitution guarantees a right to educate the people of North Carolina through Article 1, Section 15, and further specifies in Article 9 that it is the General Assembly's responsibility to provide for a general and uniform system of free public schools. However, the state has been engaged in a lawsuit called Leandro versus State, the state of North Carolina, for 30 years. Multiple rulings from that lawsuit have found that the state has not fully funded public schools. I can attest to that, and hopefully that will get better, but as of now, it has not. And who is responsible? You have your federal, your local, and your state pots of money, and you can see the breakdown of the funding for each of those on your charts. The first budget we're going to start with is your local budget. As you can see, I have reduced the local budget by $125,000 this year. I have taken $175,000 from finance and technology and added 50 to maintenance to kind of spread that out where it was needed. Your departments are on your chart there in front of you, departmental piece of your local. And there's your purpose code section as well.
Mr. Harold, they flipping through that book. What tab is that?
Let me get my tab. This is tab 3. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And as you can see, the breakdown is the same except for it's only 250 fund balance budgeted this year. Do you have any questions about local?
Any questions on this tab? This is talking about the local. I would like to say to the listening audience that we've had this book since Friday. Give them time over the weekend to get through it. Many of the questions that they had were answered before this meeting. But if you see something else,
Well,
this is your time.
Next, we're going to move to capital outlay after our local budget. Our capital outlay is broken down. We're going to budget for $200,000. That is always subject to some of those projects will always get started. And as the year goes on, you'll find out that other emergencies may occur. So all projects are always delayed, but the projects that are laid out there, if all goes well, will be completed in the 24-25 school year for $200,000. Our next budget is our state budget. State budget is projected to be $16,324,406. This is a chart, the next chart after our state budget, I need you to pay attention to, if you would, please. Let me get here. Not quickly caught up. Not there.
This one right here? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. As you will see on this chart, you have a ADM projection since 1617 to 24-25. You also have a percentage of your teaching positions, and you have what they have allotted to us. And these numbers, let me explain them to you because they coincide, they really do. They parallel one another. You can see the state funding has gone up even though our ADM has gone down. So that means the state has continued to try to meet our needs on the student side of the portion or of the state budget. Even though this next year we're slated to be 85 students less. Anytime you have a number or percentage that is more than 5%, I'm projecting the state to cut us 2 teaching positions, which is equating to about $160,000. That's just in one pot of money. Now, what they've done, they allot us more per child over the years, even though our ADM goes down. But you'll see with the staffing positions for that, they will not keep up the pace with the staffing positions. And that's where we always need the county's help, or any district would need local help if they can get it as best they can. And I will give credit to Dr. Williams. He is, with his grants, he has sustained the buildings to keep us going, because without those grants, I'm not sure where Gates County would be financially. So That is a plus, a big plus. Any questions on the state budget? The state budget is represented by Fund 1 in my world. But you can see it reflects increases from 24-25 appropriation as a result of anticipated state increases for employee salaries and benefits. Anticipated increases to costs of businesses included insurance and operating deficits due to federal and state funding reductions. State increases for employee salaries and benefits are attributed to anticipated legislative activities with the North Carolina's General Assembly. These increases are going to be 3% increases in salary, which they say that they're going to cover that, but many times it seems like they do not. The estimated increase in state employees' retirement is going to be from 24.04 to, that actually is going down. That is 25.02, so retirement will be going down. However, they make up for that on the health side. The health insurance will be going up from $8,094 to $8,565. My next budget is going to be our federal budget, which is comprised of ESSER funds and many grants, over 20 grants it's comprised of. The ESSER funding is running out September 30th, 2024. So that helps sustain us through this school year. And it will help us get through summer school, which is kind of what it was slated to do, a good part of it anyway, for remedial learning. But just want to remind the commissioners that funding is running out. And so we're continuing to try to cut costs and find measures that will make up for that, but it is always a tight race. When you have a grant that's ending and you have increased cost on other factors, and you also have just the rate of inflation, all of it that goes into your increased cost every year.
With the ESSER funding ending, what impact does that look like in 1 year?
Well, we had initially you had instructional coaches, you had remedial teachers that were put in ESSER when COVID first started. And so what districts have done is they knew this time was coming, they have pulled those people out. So we won't have anybody being paid out of ESSER come the 24-25 school year. And what we have left, we have obviously put some money into remedial learning for summer school. We've also had some contractor services that will cover EC costs that was covered by some code, which was greatly appreciated. And there will be probably in the rollover from 23-24 to 25, it will be just enough to probably finish up summer school for July, because there are two sections of summer school, June and July. And that will be zeroed out by September of 24, so we will not send any back, but that will be ending. So it will be more or less no positions, but just remedial learning for the 24-25 school year. And that budget for our federal for the 24-25 school year is $2,816,640. Our next budget is our restricted local aid, which has pre-K, Medicaid, and many other grants. This total to be $1,279,896 for the year. That is much like this past year's budget. That's more or less stable as far as funding goes. Our daycare budget is slated to be $342,900. Now, Ms. Hurdle in daycare has done a great job this year. She has gone through many obstacles and overcoming the obstacles. We've upgraded the finance software so it helps her with the online payments. So she doesn't have to mess with the spreadsheet. It was probably 15 years old with formulas that some of them worked, some of them didn't. So that has helped streamline the process. And that is a operation that hopefully will be on the upswing in the future, because it's actually one of my budgets that is needed in the district. It's truly needed. My next budget is the community center budget, and I went ahead and budgeted a full budget for this, even though it was slated by the end of the year to be turned over to the county. That budget is $346,885. Your next budget is child nutrition. That budget is $1,006,100. That is a program that is, we're constantly trying to find ways to be 100% CEP. Dr. Simpson does a great job of trying to get those numbers the way she needs them. COVID was one of those things where we were able to get 100% during that time, I do believe, but now we're back to the numbers where they're not 100%. So it is always it's a constant effort on trying to make sure that that program across the state stays solvent. And right now, we're doing well, but we're trying to do better with child nutrition. And now I will turn it over to Mr. Wright.
You don't have any questions for Mr. Harrell?
Oh, yes. You don't have any questions?
No. Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm going to be very brief because Dr. Williams only gives me 2 slides. So, which is okay because he knows once we start talking about safety how important it is, and I could talk all afternoon into the evening. But I want to start by saying our partnership with the Sheriff's Department is the key to our school safety efforts in Gates County. We could not do this without their help and without the SROs we have in these buildings. Our grant funding is running out for our middle school and elementary school SROs, but I have no doubt that I'll be able to receive that again within the next school year. It's a 2-year rotation. I should have no issues getting that funding again, so we can continue to keep our middle school and elementary school SRO rotating around.
How many SROs do we have currently?
We have 3. We have one that's on leave right now who rotates between the elementary schools, but hopefully next year we will continue to have 3. We have one that rotates between T.S. Cooper, Buckland, and Gatesville. So that being said, that it's very important. I want to take some time to update you on some safety procedures and equipment that we put in place right now. Back in February, I was able to receive $112,000 through grant funding from Center for Safe Schools. So current projects we have going on right now, the biggest one is at the high school. We have 12 access control panels going on, 12 exterior doors right now at the high school. So the high school has always been one of our biggest concerns because it's so wide open. These access control systems will go on doors and you only have access with a key card. And they can also be put on a timer. So the bell rings, they can be unlocked while the kids are rotating to classes, and at a certain time they lock back up. Okay, that is one of the big efforts we got. This should be done in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll start slowly putting that in place to lock them doors and make sure that high school is more secured. Last year I put the halos, which are the vaping detection devices, at the high school. Here in June, we'll be putting them at the middle school. Let's hope we don't have to venture to the elementary school, but that happens every once in a while. But these devices really help us try to control some of the, there is no more ashtrays on desks. Now it's all about the vaping. I don't think I've seen a cigarette in probably 3 years at the school. So we're trying to control what we've got going on in these bathrooms at the schools, and these devices help us try to reduce some of those situations. Part of the funding also came for training, so I was able to receive $15,000 for threat assessment training, which is, of course, next year will be required by legislation that each school has a threat assessment team. This software will give them the training to be able to go through the threat assessment process. It also will give them the software to complete all the documentation they need if they ever have a concern with a student in a school. So a threat assessment team would look at a situation where a student may post something on social media, a gun, a picture of something, or an actual threat, and meet together and talk about what they would do next with that student. How legitimate is the threat? It goes through a whole step-by-step process.
So that program is implemented next year?
Yeah, we will actually have it in place here in the next couple of weeks. We're doing training. Principals are doing training next week, but it will be in place fully next school year.
Okay.
So, as always, we're looking at, we have completed some more updates to buzzing systems at the school, and that's just if you've been to the high school, middle school here recently, they have a buzzing at the front door. We've been able to also create kind of like locked-in areas at the high school, so you have to go through 2 doors now in order to get access to the front office. It's no more where you can just walk in the front door and bypass the office. You actually have to buzz into the front. It's the same at the middle school if you've been there. You have to buzz in twice to get into the main office. And then, of course, we're always looking at different things, which include updating our camera systems. We're looking at some locking systems within the buildings. And then, privacy screens, kind of like what the middle school has on their front in the Vikings. We would like to do some of those things at the high school, especially in the new gym area. So. And then, of course, there's always needs. Ms. Jordan recently said something about school nurses. That is absolutely one of the biggest, in my opinion. We have 3 nurses. They rotate. It is very difficult now for these nurses to meet the needs of our students now. No longer is it Band-Aids and ice cubes. There's so much more that a nurse does with all our current student needs. And to have them rotating, there's always going to be a situation where I do not have somebody in the building other than a first responder to help some of these students. Not with only physical needs, but mental needs as well. And then, of course, we're still in need of some AEDs, which I know we're working on. I mentioned before that our AEDs are getting very old, and it's time for replacements. I just recently ordered some pads for our current AEDs, which are getting very expensive. So.
I believe we're working on providing AEDs for all the schools. Mr. Sauer? I think we are. So just have a conversation. Mr. Craddock, he's got a committee. Yeah, you are. Have a conversation with Mr. Craddock and see where those AEDs are, where the process is.
I appreciate that.
That'll save you some money.
Much appreciated to get those new AEDs. These ones we have now are over 10 years old. We know that they work. We've talked about that before because we've had a situation, and we want to make sure that we continue having working AEDs within our buildings. So. Anybody have any questions?
I think Mr. Craddock's going to meet this week, aren't you?
Next week.
Next week. He's going to meet next week. You put it on your agenda.
I'll be happy to come meet with you.
All right. It's Mr. Wright. I'm just curious. I have a curiosity question.
Sure.
I know some school districts have implemented clear book bags. Is that something that we're doing now or consider doing in the future?
We have discussed clear book bags. It is not something that we're looking to move forward with right now. One thing I did not mention, and I'm glad you said that, Mr. Roundtree, is that we are moving on to a new weapon detection system that will actually be here tomorrow, and I'm very surprised I forgot to mention that. We have 4 permanent systems coming in for the high school and middle school, and these systems are a little different than a normal metal detector where you you've been to a football game before, you know you got to come in, you got to empty your pockets. You always have somebody that says, I got a pacemaker, I can't go through that thing, or I've got a metal leg. They walk through, they don't have to empty pockets, they don't even have to take their book bag off. It detects and is looking for weapons in particular. So the signature of a firearm or the signature of a knife. So what we've run into with the metal detectors is it takes forever to get the kids through in the morning. You're not starting class on time. This is totally going to speed that process up. And hopefully will not even require the clear book bags because our students will come through these in the morning. If something does go off, then they go to a secondary inspection. And we should not have any issues with anything coming into our middle school or high school with these new systems. I'm very excited about these new systems coming in. We're actually getting trained. They're being delivered tomorrow.
Outstanding, outstanding.
Anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Capital outlay, big money.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm coming here with some very positive news tonight. Talking Dr. Williams' presentation, he mentioned some of the grant funding that we've been able to receive since 2022. And it's something that through the maintenance department, I've been with the school system off and on now for 25 years. And I can tell you it is very, very challenging to find funding to address many of the bigger needs. I'll mention the 1962 radiators that are still in use at Gates County High School. The 1962 windows which still hang in the wall, are in the wall. You know, these things we've looked for funding for many years, but have been unable to find a way or a possibility or the funding to address these needs. With this grant, these grants, the school system was very fortunate to be able to address some major building renovations through the grant that Dr. Williams received in 2022, $1.7 million for Gatesville Elementary School and $9.8 million for Gates County High School. As you all have read around the county this year, you've probably seen work going on at these two schools where we've been replacing some rooftops. Finding money to do this is very, very difficult with our traditional capital outlay budget. So we've been very fortunate to do these things. Additionally, we've been working with the architect and general contractor with plans to renovate the windows at Gatesville Elementary School. May not get it done this year because of material availability. We do plan to do that in 2025. At the high school as well, as mentioned, the windows will be upgraded. We've got 33-year-old, we call it new, 1991, the front admin area, the math science wing is 1991. So you've got equipment there that's approximately 33 years old that we'll be able to upgrade as well with these funds. So I'm very excited about that. Last year we requested between Mr. Smith and I for technology and maintenance $1.4 million for our capital outlay needs. Dr. Williams, as mentioned, recently received the funds for Buckland at Buckland Elementary and T.S. Cooper to address some major needs there. So that significantly helps with this year's with our capital outlay request for this year. As we look at this, as we talk about capital outlay, we traditionally get $200,000, and we greatly appreciate those funds to address the needs at the school. Realistically, what happens a lot of times is we talk about the list of needs that we have. The big thing that as our budget running from the first day of July to the last day of June, there's always that question mark. What's going to come up? What's going to break down on a day-to-day basis? And a lot of times, the capital outlay budget has to be used to address those unforeseen expenses. So as we talk about capital outlay tonight and some of those needs, we want to talk about possibly requesting an additional $100,000 so that we not only have the funds to address the day-to-day, but have some money as well available to address our capital outlay list. Some of the needs that we have in the maintenance department, we've been very fortunate to address some of the larger building needs, but some of the needs we have include parking lots. As you ride through the county and you have the opportunity to go in through some of these parking lots, you see that they're getting some age to them. We try to make upgrades when funds are available to do so. We made some repairs at Gates County High School in 2022, but there are a lot of needs there for parking lots and other areas throughout the school. I'm gonna let Mr. Smith speak on the Chromebooks that he's been able to get over the last few years and some of the technology needs, current technology.
Thank you. Good evening. Hope you all are doing well. As Mr. Green said, we kind of work together on the capital fund, capital outlay fund, and you all generously purchased some Chromebooks for us. What was it, about 3 years ago, I think. In addition to some we bought with ESSER funding, so. And that's wonderful. It really is. It allowed us to do a lot because when COVID hit, we didn't have the stuff that a lot of other districts had, and we weren't alone. There was a lot. I don't think anybody was prepared, in all honesty, but we did the best we could with it. But anyways, as you all also are aware, Chromebooks over time they don't update as often or have updates available as often as maybe a Mac or a PC or what have you. So. What we're trying to do, work on putting together is a sustainability plan for those. Because in 2 to 3 years, guess what? Those Chromebooks we got brand new, they're going to be out of date. Now, the one good thing that has happened is, which I'm pleased with, is that Google has said any Chromebooks that were bought in the past couple, 2 or 3 years, they would extend the life on them, which is nice. As far as updates. Because that's the issue. I mean, hardware-wise, they're still working fine, but once they run out of updates, then you start not being able to run certain programs applications that students need and teachers need. So, but anyway, we're looking at so what we're in the budget and the technology part that we're budgeting is really two pieces. One is roughly $50,000 for Chromebooks, and that would allow us to do roughly 2 grade levels. And so over 5 years, you could do pretty much the whole district because the lower grades like K and 1 don't use Chromebooks as much. They mainly use iPads and other types of things. Although they do use Chromebooks. So that's part of that. The second piece to that, which is roughly $25,000, would be for teacher laptop upgrades. We're a Mac district, and we've been really fortunate with our Macs, and some of them are, still been running 13, 14, 15 years. I think mine's about 14 years old, still running, doing fine. But of course, it gets to the point where, there again, you just can't update them anymore. So what we have tried to do over the past few years is replace 15 to 20 of the older teacher laptops a year. And we made really great strides on that, but we probably got at least another year or two to go to get those fully replaced. And of course, they'll last a lot longer than 5 years, by the way. So, we don't have to replace those as often. But the Chromebooks would be the ones where we would really need to. But like I said, we're trying to work on a sustainability plan to get those, and the 50,000 would let us do roughly 2 grade levels a year. Mr. Green?
Yeah, I would say greatly appreciate the funding you all provide each and every year. Just if you'll take into consideration what the additional funding would assist with it, it really gives us that opportunity to not only address the immediate needs, but also address some of the needs that we've looked over and planned for, such as parking lots and technology, and address those needs that we have on our capital outlay list each year with that additional funding if it were available. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Nice to be able to be up here and talk to you all, talk with you all, rather. Okay, before I jump in, I've got a little homework sheet for each of you.
I'm not going to, read from that or anything, but that just gives further explanation as to the major things that I've kind of tried to highlight on the next slide. But starting with this slide, I mean, it's probably good that I couldn't use a smaller point font because I could have put a lot more. But I figured that was, good enough right there, highlighting the areas of things that need to be addressed within the community center and everything that it encompasses. Starting with number one there, roof replacement, which you all are well aware of the condition of that. Going right on down, our windows are maybe in worse shape than the ones at the high school, and they're not as old. So that tells you something there. Our gym floor is starting to let go in places. Our water heater, we're kind of functioning on one, where the building is designed to have two. The lighting in the building is outdated. LED lights can be put in and can function, a lot longer and have to be changed out way less and, burn less energy. Our toilets throughout the building are, not able to have parts purchased for them when they go out, so we have a couple that are not able to be used. We don't really have adequate storage to store all the things that we have and use daily, weekly, seasonally, as the programs that we have, lay out throughout the course of a year. So things are kind of tucked in corners and stacked up on one another and things like that as neatly as we can. Telephone system, we would love to have one. Right now what we've got is kind of a, home phone system, but, we have to throw phones around to different staff members as calls come in. It's just some aesthetics things like landscaping and, playground and that kind of stuff. The playground just does not drain. I think when it was put in, the company that Trillium had to do that, it seems to me, I don't know, but they just came and just kind of threw it there. I mean, I'm sure it looked great the first day, but probably the first storm that rained, put a pond out there. We could really benefit from a vehicle, just something functional to get us around to, different things that we have to do with, interdepartmental stuff. When we have teams that play on the road, the staff member that attends those, to not have to utilize their personal vehicles so much. A point of sale system would be a great start, so that we could, join the times and, take credit card payments and things like that for people signing up for programs and such. The next bullet point there would take care of that one, and that being the Civic Rec online software. That one, man, that would do it all. That would allow people to sign up from their homes. It would track everybody by, or not track, but it would organize everybody by email. It would make it super easy for us to reach out to people to, inquire about coaching or inquire about drafts or workouts or whatever the case may be for, for things going on within the department. Time to register, registration dates running out, senior trips, cruises coming up or whatever the case is that, somebody may want to do or that we're offering. That really would do it all. I've presented that every year, and I hope that maybe one day we can get that, because it sure would. I mean, it would limit our time from having to use, paper sign-ups, and it would enable us to do more while having to focus less on doing those kinds of things. We would love to have some portable scoreboards, just been able to, show kids what the scores are on the fields that they, play on outside. We don't really have, we don't have dedicated soccer fields, so we have kids that play soccer in the outfields of baseball and softball fields, and, being able to put scoreboards out there and pull them back in at night when the games are over, I mean, that would be paramount. It would be really good for those kids. It would help the refs. They would have to guess less. The coaches would know who won and who lost at the end of the night if it's a, competitive age group. Also, the ones in the gym, we have two, but one functions periodically. When the wind blows from the right direction, or however you want to look at it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But those are to the point where they don't make replacement parts for them anymore. They're somewhere around 15 to 20 years old. Well, I mean, we get by for now, but, you know, in the very near future, that's going to become something that needs to happen. Tennis courts, of course, major overhaul needs to go on those. I wanted to leave some of the things up here so that y'all can see some of the things that have been done. You guys did provide funds to help us renovate the Little League field, our youth baseball / softball field. Y'all enabled us to purchase mounds, portable mounds that we can move from that field to the high school softball field, what have you. They can be put anywhere. With 2 people or more, you can pick them up, move them right around. They're full fiberglass. They're very nice. I mean, y'all overhauled the whole field, put new roofs on dugouts for that field in particular, and it's really looking like something that other counties would like to have as well. That's right on par with everything other leagues that we play against during our youth baseball and softball seasons. So I'm thankful for that. A field maintainer, that's a machine that would go, it's kind of a 3-wheel or some are 4-wheel machines that would help us to grade those fields and keep them up year round. We do have drag tools. We have the chain drag and a spike drag that we use behind an old lawnmower, but that works, but there's no telling how long that machine will last. It's not anywhere near new, but having even a used field maintainer would go a long way. It will help us to limit the amount of time we're spending working on that field, having to pick things up and connect things and that kind of stuff. The walking track needs a lot of work. It's got holes in it. There's been people that have fallen, and it's becoming something that needs to be addressed as well. A lot of people use it. Tons of people. There's people there before I get there in the morning, and I'm there. I'm usually one of the first or second people there. But people love to come walk, and it's a great spot to come walk in the morning or in the evenings, afternoons, all day long, really. But the bridges are starting to show their age, and they're starting to become pits, in the asphalt, and the roots are starting to take their toll on it as well. Fitness room. I mean, that's its own. That's its own ball of wax there. A lot of the equipment in there is, it's just like everything else. It's becoming outdated and even past outdated to where they don't make, parts to repair them. We have a contract with a company that helps upkeep our stuff, and we've put in a couple of work requests to have them fix things that they can't find stuff for. So we just have to, hang a sign on it and say, please do not use. And that's frustrating for people that want to come exercise. Contract and summer staff hours, part-time expansion. We could utilize this yesterday. We have 2 part-time employees, whom I love dearly, but I could use 4 more easily tomorrow. Most recreation departments are shaped, sort of like a pyramid. You have a lot of ground workers. You got a lot of part-time employees that handle the things on the nights and the weekends when your full-time staff's hours are expired. And, that takes the burden off them and allows them to get more stuff done during the day because they're not trying to cover something during a night or on a weekend or, whatever the case is. You see there a discrepancy in pay, or hours rather, for one of the staff members who's still at 35 hours. And I would love for her to be at 40 so that she could be on par with everybody there. And as well as certification for that employee in question to instruct senior fitness classes. That seat certification would go to open a lot of things back up for the seniors that come and possibly more. All right, just to, aside from like the roof, but just to kind of hammer down the most important things there from my stuff is just the increase in hours from 35 to 40, an increase in part-time budget to accommodate more staff to enable us to do more, Civic Rec software, portable scoreboards, gym scoreboard, a mule. I'll put this up there. We had one sort of given to us by the high school. It was the one that they did not any longer use, and we've put a couple of $1,000s into it to try to get it running, and we're just not, it is not paid out. So that's something that would aid us to help keep grounds clean, move portable pitching mounds around. You can also drag the field with that. You can hook those same attachments that we currently have up to it. Running soccer flags, first aid needs, player safety, all kinds of things that would go to assist. Moving trash around, those sorts of things that we don't have dumpsters for currently, but see there in the next one, a dumpster service would be great. And then as well to update the toilets so that all that we have function the way they should, or at all. But that's what I have for tonight. I know it seems worse than it really is, but we do a lot. We're thankful for everything we have, and we appreciate the opportunity to serve this county and serve its citizens.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Raby? No questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Additional, as I mentioned earlier, the additional 100,000 that we're requesting there for capital outlay would greatly benefit the maintenance department as well as technology to address some critical needs there that we've identified in our capital outlay list. As far as the community facilities, now that's in reference to the tennis court renovation. Please speak on the tennis court. Okay. Yes, the tennis court is at a point where Dr. Williams got funding back in fall 2022 to renovate.
Mr. Green.
Oh, I'm sorry. Back in 2022 to renovate the tennis courts. I had already, Mr. Raby started, and I believe it was in January of 2022. We looked at that. He realized that was a big need. It's gotten to the place, I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to go out to the community center lately, but it's getting to be a pretty big eyesore. So we contacted Jeffrey Simpson with the YMCA over in Elizabeth City and said, hey, who do you all use to maintain your courts? And we called and got some pricing. Well, Dr. Williams applied for grants and was fortunate enough to receive a grant towards renovating the tennis courts. As soon as he got a grant, I contacted 3 different contractors to get additional pricing, to try to get the best price possible. And 2 said, they looked at it and said, thanks, but no thanks. Not interested. You all are at a point where you really need new tennis courts. And, of course, the funding's not there to do so. So I contacted the one that was interested and had given us the original quote. And after some discussion, he said, you know what, I don't have time to work on it either, really. He said, I've taken on a large contract with, I think he said, Virginia Tech. Anyway, he backed away. So we were at a point we didn't have anybody available. Mr. Raby and I worked together, found out who renovated it back in 2016. Contacted that contractor in the spring of 2023, and he said, yep, I'm interested in doing it. So he came out and looked at it, and he gave me a price that was too good to believe. Well, he's going to be here in July and do the work. Well, July came, and then he's going to come in August. So he called me in August when I'm going to be there in September. And to make a long story short, he never showed up. So that price was truly too good to believe. So we had, fortunately, my daughter played tennis this fall, and in traveling with the high school tennis team, which had to do a lot of traveling this past year, I was able to see the court in Windsor that had been recently renovated. So I called that contractor, talked with him, and he came out and has given us pricing, which is more in line with the original quote that Mr. Raby and I had received. So, we are requesting that the county help renovate the courts along with the grant money that we have available. We're also planning to include 5 pickleball courts in the painting of those 5 courts, tennis courts, so that they can be used more by the community. The high school has also expressed interest in using it for physical education, using the pickleball courts. So, greatly appreciate the assistance, if you all could provide the assistance along with the grant to get those courts remodeled and renovated this summer. So.
Okay, thank you.
You know, a member of the OBC Foundation is Mr. Howell. He's a dentist up in Suffolk, and he's a board member on the foundation, and he most definitely wants to see these tennis courts repaired, revitalized. He even told me that once we do that, he wants to come down and participate in some pickleball. So I think that's just great and outstanding, and we get this project underway, I will feel very comfortable with our tennis courts. With that being said, on April the 4th, we had Don Davis, Congressman Davis. He came and he spoke to some folks who wanted to attend, and I know you have. You've heard of the acronym STEM. Well, for me, I think STEM stands for Strategies That Engage Minds. But Congressman Davis, he said STEAM. And so when he talked about STEAM, of course, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. And so I have with me, flanking my left, Mr. James Schaefer. He is our drama instructor. And he would most definitely just like to show you some great things that are going on in our arts department. That was brought up by Congressman Davis. So the floor is yours, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Thank you, Board of Commissioners, for allowing the arts to speak tonight. I represent the 7 teachers in the district that service our 5 schools. I'm sure that we all would say that the arts are important. I'm sure that we would all say that we'd love to go see a show, see our children, grandchildren in concerts and perform. But I'm sure that many of us probably don't quite know what all is involved in making that happen. I think that's the lament of arts teachers probably nationwide. So what we have here on this slide, and what I gave you is just the justification of some of the reasons why these numbers were brought forward, what it takes in order for us to provide a sustainable, a growing, a well-maintained, effective, and diverse arts program for our students. We have one band teacher, or excuse me, we have a music teacher at the elementary school level. The elementary school arts teachers travel between the 3 elementary schools in a rotation throughout the school year. Their resources are extremely limited and are rarely replenished officially by anyone anywhere. So this first sheet of the handout that I gave you just shows, just shows what the music teacher at the elementary school is working with and needs to sustain that, those offerings. The second page is an extension of that, where the high school and middle school are serviced by Ms. Lee Morgan. In order to fully fund her program, in order for instruments to be maintained, repaired, replaced after their life cycle is up, in order for them to travel, to compete, to represent Gates County, in order to order music, to prepare for performances yearly, that requires $12,000. I want to be very clear here on this slide and in this sheet in front of you. This is an either or, if there any help can be given. We're not looking for both. The second option there is what's known as the instrumental purchase. It's a loan program through Con, Selmer, and BGE Financial, where a large order of expensive instruments can be placed at 2024 prices and doesn't increase over the course of the loan. So anything that can be helped in that regard is presented tonight. Dance, these are both one-time requests here. The elementary school serviced by Ms. Suzanne Newbern. And as you can see on that same sheet at the bottom, there are some things that are specific to her program that would be reusable over the course of time. Of course, things wear out over time. Then Ms. Russell, my colleague at the high school, has taught dance for many, many years, and many, many years in the same room without working sound system. So that's what she puts there. I am a lot more well-versed with theater, obviously, as that is my discipline. We make it work with what we have, but in order to continue to be competitive, to be modern, this is what would be required in order to do that. And with visual art, I wish I was a better representative for the visual arts. I scratch my head still today wondering how they do what they do with the materials that don't recycle. Paint, once it's used, it goes away. Once we do a unit on pottery, the clay is used up. These things cost money. They are difficult to just replenish. So these are the numbers that they offered that would allow them to continue to provide an effective education to our students' arts education. It's been a pleasure coming here tonight. I'm sure there's a lot more to say. This here just gives a demonstration of what these numbers represent. Are there any questions for the arts programs?
No questions?
Thank you so much.
Mr. Shaker.
All right, to wrap up our budget presentation, you've heard of this before, potential risks going forward. Obviously, we're facing increased competition with charter schools and funding. We were fighting reduced ADM. Every school district in Region 1, as far as I know, is facing the same thing we're facing. Out of this district transfers, we're facing that as a potential risk. Uncontrolled EC expenditures, that is a area risk as well as far as the eastern North Carolina. I would dare say it may be the whole state until the state comes up with a funding model specific to every district. Right now, we're at 13% funded by state, and we're at around 20% over. So, we have to make up that difference with other funds, federal or local. And that is a real expense. It's not something being made up. I can promise you that. Retirement and hospitalization rates, they continually have gone up. We have a little bit of a dip in retirement. So maybe that will level off to help us out. And utility rates are continuing to rise as well. Future planning, money saving considerations, transitioning payroll to once a month instead of twice a month. This is going to greatly help transition to a more streamlined payroll process. Less administrative work. I can actually take the saved time that my staff will have, put them to task, because we have one of the smaller staffs in the state. Of course, any district with the ADM between 1,000 and 1,500 probably has a very similar department. And whether you have 10,000 students or whether you have 1,500 students, your administrative processes when you accounts payable, reimbursements, payroll, they're all still the same. You still have that to do. So going to once a month is a plus for that money savings consideration. Being proactive and adapting to decreasing student ADM. Reducing positions through attrition, retirement, and resignation, containing rising EC costs for the future budget planning cycles. That is something that we plan to do going forward throughout my tenure at Gates County Schools. Any questions?
Any question for Mr. Harrell?
And my last slide, just an FYI, and this is statewide. The state contributes about 2/3 of DPI's overall spending to my budget. Counties contribute about 1/4, and that is a relative number. You may have some districts that are a little bit lower than that. Some districts have large local budgets, which, the only one I can think of in this area would be Dare County for us. So the source of each individual school district's budget varies based on how many local tax dollars the district receives and allocates to the school district. And on that note, I wanted to let each of you know that we appreciate everything that you do for us, all the funding that you contribute. And going forward, we will be great stewards of your contributions to the school budgets.
So in closing, I'd like to say thank you to my administrative cabinet, to each of you, to my school board, to my soon-to-be school board member, Ms. Riddick. But it's like this. We understand the priorities and the objectives of the county manager and the board of the county manager and the board of commissioners, and we want to align our budget proposal with your vision and your mission. And I liked what Dr. Riddick said a few minutes ago. She said, education is our infrastructure in Gates County. And so, what is a successful student? A successful student is an individual who is able to experience a high degree of success in a variety of K-12 academic and social endeavors. A successful student is a student who is an individual who matures into a responsible citizen, a productive member of society, a person with impeccable character, and one who adds a great deal of value to the community. This can only occur when we have a carefully developed instructional program, a meticulous developed curriculum, and a clear focus and vision for our school system. All of us are here tonight with the same mindset and purpose to provide what is needed and what is best for our students and for our county. So I have a video up here that there was a student at T.S. Cooper said, Dr. Williams, would you show this video at your budget meeting? And so, I got to thinking, I figured it was just going to be something that was cute and funny, and the more I got to thinking about this is us. This is us on this piece of ice. So, Mr. Curry, Mr. Smith, if you could.
We'll give you a few seconds, please.
Because we care so much about these students, we care so much about the county, and we care so much about you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very entertaining. Give him a round of applause. What I'm going to do, I'm going to recess for about 5 minutes. My phone went off. That tells me I've been here 3 hours. But anyway, I'm going to give you a 5-minute recess. We'll come back, and we're going to push right on through the rest of the agenda, starting with old business into new business, and then we'll adjourn and let you go home. Don't everybody get up at one time. We're in recess for 5 minutes.
got mine on. Don't we have this already? I just got all.
It's all the same, right?
I need a motion to come out of recess, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're out of recess. Mr. Sauer?
Thank you. It was almost 30 days ago that the board was briefed on the project priorities for the utilization of the state appropriation budget, the $10.1 million that was provided by our legislators that have worked so hard, Representative Bill Ward and Senator Bobby Hannig. It was just 2 weeks ago that we sat down with the county engineers and walked through all of the necessary applications for the county to be able to use those, and we are ready to upload those documents into the state portal tomorrow. But we have to have approval from the governing body. Under old business, the first item that will require approval is the capital improvement plan. The second item, and the largest item, is the Gates County water supply capacity expansion, where we add additional wells, we replace the water tank, we put in large transmission lines to serve Gatesville and even out west toward Ashton Lewis, and also to run past the Merchants Commerce Park. If the board would entertain the suggestion, items A and B follow the structure of the motion and discussion the board had with the county attorney at the beginning of the meeting. So as we work through these approvals, I think it'd be appropriate to suggest that Commissioner Roundtree once again ask to be recused for items A and B under old business, and then have the board follow through and take action on those two.
That's correct.
Yes, I would like to request that the board recuse me from items A and B.
You've heard Mr. Roundtree's request. What say you? Madam Clerk, poll the commissioners.
Okay. Commissioner Truman, what's your vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Aye.
Dr. Riddick?
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock?
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Okay.
So then if the board would be so kind as to entertain approving both A and B in one motion.
Make a motion, we'll approve A and B under Roman numeral 5.
I'll second that motion.
Properly motion and second. Madam Clerk, poll it.
Commissioner Truman, what's your vote?
Aye.
For A and B? Aye. Commissioner Hoffman?
Aye. For both.
Commissioner Riddick?
Aye for both A and B.
Commissioner Craddock?
Aye for A and B.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, and I will now run through the projects that the board reviewed on April 10th. The item C is the wastewater system improvements. That particular package has just one project, and that is the sewer line to run to the State Park family camping area that's being renovated. Item D is a resolution for a funding request to cover both T.S. Cooper and the Buckland Elementary School so that the county can extend sewer lines to both of those facilities, and to take the Board of Education out of the wastewater business and no longer have a a discharge permit to deal with. And for the audience, Dr. Williams and his staff, Mr. Green put together correspondence for the county detailing the notice of violations that the schools have endured, and it's actually T.S. Cooper, Buckland, and Gatesville, but this first round of funding is going to be just for T.S. Cooper and Buckland. The Gatesville Elementary will be folded in with the town of Gatesville sewer project in a few months later. So D is the resolution for the application. E is the application just for Buckland Elementary, 1.3 million. Well, actually, it's E1 and E2. 1 is Buckland, 2 is Cooper. T.S. Cooper is 2.8 million because it's a longer distance to get up towards Sunbury. Then under item F, again, a two-part setup because we have individual permits through the Department of Environmental Quality, one for T.S. Cooper, one for Buckland. They are permitted at separate locations for the Board of Education. So both of those permits will be operated, if the funding comes through, under an interlocal agreement between the Board of Education and the county commissioners. And with this approval tonight, it's simply to approve that draft interlocal agreement subject to the funding coming from the state. We believe that both projects, Buckland and T.S. Cooper, are in such an environmental ranking on the state's scorecard that they are both eligible for 100% grant funding. So that is our strategy. So I think it's appropriate to actually have a motion and a second and a vote to incorporate items C, D, E, which is 1 and 2, and F, which is the 2 draft interlocal agreements.
I need a motion to approve C, D, E, which is A and B, and F.
So moved.
Second.
And properly moved and second. Madam Clerk, all the commissioners will vote, poll the commissioners.
Commissioner Truman,
Aye for all.
Commissioner Hoffa,
Aye.
Commissioner Reddy,
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock,
Aye for all.
Commissioner Roundtree.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item next, we have several budget amendments. F-24-011 is for an increase in electronics revenue. This is the disposal fee. When you buy a new computer, a new television set, in addition to your sales tax, you pay an electronic disposal tax. Because we received more than anticipated, we have a budget amendment for $177. Next is F-24-012. It is $21,922. This is with the Department of Social Services. This is an added state appropriation coming to the county, no additional local dollars. Budget Amendment 24-013, again, an increase in state appropriations for the LEAP, that's the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, in the amount of $24,418, no local dollars. F-24-014, $2,500 increased revenue for excise tax related to unauthorized substances. And this is money that comes through the court system, ultimately ends up in the sheriff's office to give them additional flexibility within their budget. The last one is also related, the next one is another DSS, F-24-015, $914. That's a fiduciary account where we control a person's money because of they are a ward of the state, and they received a client donation. Last budget amendment is F-24-016, These are insurance proceeds in the amount of $8,277. With the receipt of these insurance proceeds, those monies then go back into the sheriff's budget so that he can have the vehicle repaired. So I think it'd be appropriate to have a motion and a second for those budget amendments.
Fellow Commissioners, we need a motion to approve Budget Amendment F24-011, F24-012, F24013, F24-014, F24-015, and F24-016.
Make a motion that we approve these budget amendments from FC 4011 through F 24016.
Second.
And properly second, motion and second. Madam Clerk, poll the Commissioners.
Commissioner Roundtree, your vote is?
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddick?
Aye.
Commissioner Hopper?
Aye.
Commissioner Tree?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll roll on into managers' reports.
Roll
if
right
that's
on.
okay. Since I asked some of the Board of Education staff to remain with us this evening, there is a budget amendment that was prepared based on dialogue between the chair of the Board of Education, Ms. Ryan, and Dr. Riddick, the chair of the County Commissioners. We had a budget planning meeting to talk about the tennis court project that was just presented by Mr. Green. There's $25,000 in grant money already secured. This budget amendment is not in your package, it's in front of your desk. It's a separate handout. And we are, in order to close the gap, we are suggesting that the Board of Commissioners use your school capital reserve fund in the amount of, help me out, $34,742, I believe it is. And this will provide the funds necessary that they can move right ahead with the tennis courts. So
And what was the total?
I think it's 20.
34,720,
Okay.
34,742.
Thank you.
You have that in front of you. I ask for a motion to approve using the school capital fund for the tennis courts of $34,742.
So move.
I'll second that motion.
It's been properly moved in second. Madam Clerk, poll the Commissioners.
Commissioner Tree?
Aye.
Commissioner Hopper?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddick?
Aye.
Commissioner Craddock?
Aye.
Commissioner Roundtree?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And just several minor points. William Robertson, the finance director, and I will be meeting with the auditors next week, hopefully to finish the financial statements for June 30, 2023, so that the audit can be presented to the board at your next meeting, May 15th. We are rolling forward with reviewing budget requests for 24-25, and we greatly appreciate the information shared this evening by the Board of Education, and we are planning to program the transfer of the community center on a more accelerated rate. Instead of doing it in the middle of the fiscal year, January 1, we're going to propose to do it effective July 1. It's basically the same amount of money. It's just a matter, do you put it in the school's budget for half the year and the county for half the year? You put it all with the county. And both finance directors sat me down and convinced me it would make much smoother sailing for administration on both sides if we could do that in the budget. We are also in the stage of closing out yet again another housing grant with the Community Development Block Grant Program. We're having our final local meeting with the CDBG folks on June 25th. That's really a staff-related thing. And lastly, because I did not put together a PowerPoint like I did last meeting, I've passed around the slide from our last work session where we have, and this is very, very rough, but we've taken the schematic diagram prepared by the Board of Education for the athletic fields with the track, and superimpose that on top of the conceptual plan for the county's property, Merchants Commerce Park, on the other side of the highway. And what triggered this thought process was we were reviewing some files and came across one of the scenarios that had been prepared by the architectural team but had never been presented to the board, was a scenario that had recreational facilities and athletic fields in that lower right-hand corner. Dr. Williams feels very confident that there may be a real opportunity for some 100% grant money to construct the facilities. And instead of having to spend money to buy more land, why not try to place this here? Shared it with the board a week ago. The 10th. And the board seemed enthusiastic. So I wanted to make sure I shared this again publicly for the record, and so that the audience that stayed with us would have it. So there's no action required. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, County Manager. I would like to say that this superimposed field is a track. It's not all the other stuff. It's a track with facilities. Whatever you see here, like baseball field, softball, it's a track. To be discussed.
A community track.
A community track. With cross country for the school system. So let's not go wild now. Okay. Heard it here first. Commissioner's update, make it quick. I'm just saying.
I'll start now.
Okay.
It is, I don't have much for the report for the simple reason all of the boards I'm on, we're all working on budgets for the coming year. And so I'll have more to report next time because we'll have those for you to approve.
Commissioner Truman.
Made my short and sweet.
Keeping it quick, yeah. I just want to, from Board of Commissioners, to Park Women's Gates Communications Center, tell them, I know, Happy Telecommunications Week. It is National Telecommunicators Week across the country here. They're celebrating, and I think they are worth mentioning tonight. And also for the school board members that are here, really appreciated the presentations tonight. I like the word sustainability used when they were talking about technology and such, planning ahead rather than having everything come up at once. That was really encouraging. So looking forward to reviewing all of that some more.
Commissioner Roundtree.
Yes, today I attended the presentation from our very own Major General Richard Harrison today at Gates County High School to the NNDC cadets, Gates County, which is led by Chief Howard. Also there was Commander Landis. It was a great military presentation by our very own General, Major General, two-star General Richard Harrison. He also is going to be recognized tomorrow at Elizabeth City State University at 3:30 at the G.R. Little Library. It's going to be alumni recognition ceremony for him and his accomplishment as Major General. I also attended on April 10th the Auburn Regional Services Legislative Roundtable. In attendance was North Carolina Senator Bobby Hannick, Representative Bill Ward, also Representative Trey Lewis, which he represents Senator Tom Tillis, and also North Carolina Senator Ted Budd, Regional Director, Mr. John Taylor was present also. Tomorrow I will be adjourned to Greensboro to attend the North Carolina Board of DSS members tomorrow in Greensboro, North Carolina. And this concludes my updates.
Okay. Commissioner Craddock.
All right. Public Health and Safety Committee next Tuesday, the 23rd. It's going to be held at the Emergency Management Building instead of here, so we don't have to keep some of our county people here to close up after we do. More centralized location, but it'll be at the old prison pretty much. Northeastern Workforce Development Storm Board meeting tomorrow. So, like Ms. Soffler said, it's budget season. And Gates County shooting team, I don't know if they've made it to the state level yet, or got one more. They are going to state level. Rockingham, North Carolina. I remember I ain't gonna count them. When I was on the shooting team, going to Rockingham, it was a blast. Same shooting instructor though, Don White. So congratulations to them. There's been a lot of conversation I saw on Facebook the other night on the community page asking where can we get the little mailbox signs, the green signs, reflective signs. So that's one of the things we've been talking about in our public health and safety meeting, the signs around the county, mile markers, you know, it helps everybody. And so there's going to be a big push for that. But if you need a sign, you can go to your local post office and support our EMS. They will, there's a little form to fill out. You can pay for it. They'll even come install it for you. So that's the end of my notes for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Crowder.
Didn't the fire department room up for you?
EMS.
Okay.
I have a short report. We will give a full broadband report for the county during our next meeting. We're just about done with the deployment of access to all the citizens who desire it. I think we're over 95% of the county complete. So we're just at the, cusp of completing broadband, and I'll have Mr. Arnold Bright, our field checker representative, to be here, and we'll have a detailed report. We're also working on a digital education plan with other counties so that we can help our, not only senior citizens, some people are not senior, don't know how to use their phones and their devices, and trying to get a grant. We're not writing it, we're applying for it through the other counties to purchase devices people who may not have it. So it's a lot going on, but we'll do that next month. That said, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
Yeah, I want to eat something too.
But she helps out in the big school, big.